facing charges for hiding the Lagarde list.
Yes.
And hiding all this information that was given to him by Ms. Lagarde for the tax evaders. Some of his relatives were in this list, and that's why he hid it. But we see that Papandreou, when it came down to choose between democracy and the referendum and the profits of the investors, he was summoned to come, I quote you, he was summoned to come to the camps, and he was directed not to perform the referendum, and after that you forced a technocratic government. Now I understand that, of course, if he's such a puppet, I understand that you might like him so much. Of course, you described the way the memorandum was voted upon, all those obligations, the detailed obligations, all the responsibilities by Greece. You described better than I could the illegality of the law-making procedure in the parliament. And but you describe it as if this has nothing to do with your work there, as if it wasn't the directions of the EU or of the task force or of the Troika. And I believe you have great responsibility of all these illegalities in the process and in the substance of this memorandum.
Do you have a question?
Yes, I do. I'll be right there. But you're also responsible for something else. People show daily their dissatisfaction on these measures, on the austerity. They protest, strike, and as a reply to this protest, the state responds with the riot police that brutally attack them every day. They arrest them. Union leaders are arrested. Journalists, the press, is chased after. And strikers are mobilized in order to stop striking. Now, the task force directs and supports this undemocratic process. It sees it and does nothing. And this contradicts the so-called democratic values of the EU. So my question finally is, how far can this violation of the democracy go for the economic benefits of the elites, which apparently you represent, and these are against the interests of the people? And shall we expect assassinations or of the protesters or exiles of trade unions or things like that? Because if we see the outcome, which we all want to justify all this, what happens with an outcome, you give us a surplus, which is cooked. It's figures that do not change. Yes. And the real outcome is poverty, is unemployment, is despair. So how far does this go, and what is really your priority? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I think a lot of what you said, I said it myself. You started with Mr. Papandreou. I don't want to make a saint out of him. But I really do believe that in spite of the fact that he participated in previous governments as Minister for European Affairs, as Minister for Foreign Affairs and other responsibilities, in spite of that, I think that he came to the conclusion that Greece had to change when he won the elections in October 2009. I do not question the sincerity of the fact that he, at that time, his eyes were opened and he knew that Greece had to change in order to remain a viable member of the European Union. And I held him in deep respect. I really think he still is, by the way, a decent man. I have a much tougher judgment on his father, who I think really had a hugely negative impact on Greece and is for a large part responsible for all the things that are wrong in Greece today. But okay, that's a long time ago. and we should not cry over spilled milk. In fact, I tried to answer your question, because I think in a way it is legitimate to put certain democratic principles out of order for a short while if they succeed. But you cannot do this for a prolonged period. Even in a country like Belgium, when they had to join the euro, Belgium for a short while was governed by decree, because they had to put their finances in order